During World War II, Japan's invasion of China launched an 8-year war, which ultimately killed an estimated 19 million to 35 million Chinese people. And during this time, the Japanese military also lured, purchased, or kidnapped hundreds of thousands of women for sexual slavery for their imperial army, women who were subjected to some of the most horrifying experiences inflicted upon military prostitutes in history. More people would die from the rape of Nanking than from the atomic blasts at Hiroshima and Nagasaki combined. The Japanese military had issued a kill all captives order at the time, which seems to have come as a directive from some of the highest levels of military power. Across the city, the army machine-gunned tens of thousands of Chinese men, or buried them alive, or used them for bayonet practice, or decapitation contests, or thousands of men were simply sprayed with gasoline and set on fire. Now, most of these executions were efficient, but there were men who died under the most slow, sadistic, and excruciatingly painful circumstances when Japanese soldiers turned murder into sport. After killing most of the men in the city in this fashion, the Japanese army then turned their attention on the Chinese women. In the city of Nanking, no woman was safe. Japanese soldiers raped great-grandmothers over the ages of 80, along with children under the ages of 8. In the end, the Japanese raped more than 20,000 women and girls in Nanking, and some estimate that the figure is probably as high as 80,000 women and girls. The government tried to control the libido of the Japanese soldiers by creating their own prostitution ring, which we now know as the Comfort Women System, or the Korean Comfort Women System. An estimated 200,000 women, most of them Korean women, but many also from other Asian countries, some of whom were also Caucasian, such as Dutch women, were forced to serve in what the Japanese government called facilities of sexual comfort to stop troops from raping women in regions that they controlled in China. And many of these comfort women were only, teenagers or even children when they were captured. We all know that Germany has made several profuse apologies to their wartime victims. But the Japanese government has yet to deliver one sincere apology directly to the survivors of the Nanking Massacre or to their families. And some of the apologies that they claim to have made to the wartime victims in general have often avoided the use of the words apologies in general, preferring words like remorse or regret, and is not really deemed as sincere by many of the victims of the Japanese across Asia. Now, in the realm of war restitution, the differences between how the two countries have dealt with their wartime past loom large. The Germans have paid the equivalent of about 60 billion US dollars in war reparations to their victims, and will continue to pay several more billion by the year 2005. But the Japanese government has paid close to nothing, and certainly not one penny, in reparations to the victims of Nanking. What's even more disturbing, I think, is how the subject of World War II is taught in schools in both countries. The Germans have required by law the teaching of the history of the Jewish Holocaust in their schools. And any teacher who refuses to participate or neglects to teach this history is simply breaking the law. But the Japanese government, far from mandating the study of their World War II aggression, has, through the Ministry of Education, openly impeded the efforts of textbook authors to do so in that country, and have even censored, whitewashed, or distorted details of the Nanking atrocities and other wartime crimes from school textbooks, despite a 3-decade-long lawsuit waged against the Ministry of Education by textbook author and historian Anaga Saburo.